Hello there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. So today is Combo Day on the kit of the week. This week's kit is of course the Mars Messenger in 1/72nd scale from KP. In today's video then we'll have a brief look at the history of the Mars Messenger and Mars aircraft itself. I'll have a look at what you get inside the box if you're going to buy one of these, and if you have bought one of these, how to then put it all together. Now if you do enjoy this video, and I really hope you do, then please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Doesn't cost you anything, helps me enormously. All you have to do is click on that small logo down there in the bottom right corner. Of course, if you want to support future productions, you can do that through Patreon, or you can do that through Buy Me a Coffee. Links to both of these are in the information box below. Enough of all that, let's make a start then with the history of the Mars Messenger. The Mars M38 Messenger was designed to meet a requirement for a slow-speed air observation and light transport aircraft. It was a product of Phillips and Powys, a company whose major shareholder was Rolls-Royce and whose chief designer was Frederick Miles. The company had enjoyed great success with training aircraft such as the Mars M2 Hawk, the Mars Master and the famous Magister or Maggie. The Messenger was based on the previous Mars M28 Mercury, but with specific modifications. The wings gained larger flaps to help reduce stalling speed, allowing slow loitering over an observation target. It also gained a central fin to add to the existing two fins at the end of the tailplane. This was to give better rudder authority at slow speed. The Messenger made its first flight on 12th of September 1942, just 3 months after the first approaches had been made by the Army. Informal trials with an Army Aerial Observation Post or AOP squadron proved very favourable. The large flaps gave the Messenger a stalling speed as low as 40 km per hour or 25 miles per hour, slower even than the famous Fiesler Storch. This allowed the Messenger to operate from the smallest of fields, and the large cabin had excellent visibility. However, as the Ministry of Aircraft Production had been formally notified neither of the requirement nor the tests, they reprimanded George Miles and made no orders for the aircraft. Subsequently, the Air Observation Post role was handed to companies such as Taylorcraft, with the Oster AOP seen here in Normandy. In 1943, the Royal Air Force ordered a few Messengers to act as VIP transport aircraft. Famous users of the Messenger were Air Chief Marshal Sir Arthur Tedder and General Sir Bernard Montgomery. Just 21 Messengers were produced in the war years. Production for civilian use continued after the war, but ultimately just a further 71 aircraft were produced. The Mars Company had modest success with other types, such as the M57 Aerovan light transport and the Mars Marathon, a 4-engined airliner later built by Handley Page. But perhaps the aircraft Mars is least associated with is the one that could make them a world-famous name. The Mars M52 was designed to be the first aircraft to break the sound barrier in controlled flight, powered by a top-secret Whittle jet engine. Sadly, it was never realised as government money was withdrawn before a prototype could be completed, although later rocket-powered scale models passed through the sound barrier with ease. This kit from KP is a new tooling, so there's no history really to talk about. As is normal with KP, however, there is more than one version right away. In addition to this kit, there is a boxing with 3 aircraft that flew with the RAF during the Second World War. The other boxing is for Messengers in civilian service with schemes for 3 different aircraft. Blue seems to be a common theme here. There is another Messenger kit available, again in 1/72nd, this time from AZ, but as it's the same tooling as the KP kit, there's not much to get excited about. The only other plastic kit was the Pavla model in 1/72nd in a tooling from 2000. Now, as you can see from the civilian messenger boxing, KP has released a set of the Miles Hawk Major, again a new toolkit, and this time just the 3 boxings, one for impressed aircraft, one for the Spanish Civil War, and one for civilian aircraft. I'm hoping this is a start of a comprehensive run of Miles aircraft from KP. A Magister seems an obvious follow-up, although there are plenty of kits already available in 1/144th, in 1/72nd, in 1/48th, and even 1/32nd scales. Dora Wings has this excellent Miles Master in 1/48th, which is soon to be released in 1/72nd as well. Other notable Miles aircraft available include the Micromere Miles Aerovan, a post-war light transport aircraft that proved surprisingly popular, and the Planet Models kit of the Libellula, a pusher tandem wing prototype for a naval fighter. Sadly, no plastic kits exist of the Miles M52, the revolutionary design that could have been the first supersonic aircraft had it not been cancelled by the UK government in 1946. Maybe KP could think about that. The box opens at one end and the contents come in this cellophane bag that's sealed over on itself. The contents are few, it must be said. All of the grey plastic comes on this single small sprue, but then this is 1/72nd and the Messenger was a pretty tiny aeroplane. The only other plastic in the kit is this one-piece transparent canopy. The moulding on the parts isn't all that great, and there is very little in the way of detail. There are a lot of sprue joins in awkward places, such as on the leading edge of the tailplane. Now, for a new tool, there is a significant amount of flash on many parts, such as this undercarriage leg, and the mouldings all look a little soft. The cockpit seal also has flash, and you can see the stub here, which is supposed to help align and support the wing on the fuselage. As for the wing, on the bottom it has a hole for the undercarriage to sit in. This hole's pretty shallow and rounded, and it doesn't really give you much hope that the gear is going to sit straight. This needed to be deeper and more sharply moulded, with the leg likewise well shaped. Note also the big sprue feed on the leading edge again. Overall then, the parts are not of the best design or production, although of course we've all seen worse. But this is a new tool, it really should be better. The instructions for assembling the 29 parts are, naturally enough, simple, and 1.5 sheets of A5 covers the whole job. There are 3 scheme options, 2 for RG333, that's with and without invasion stripe markings on the upper surfaces, and 1 for RH378. Both were used by General Montgomery during his command of 21st Army Group in 1944 and 45. The decals are few, but then I'm not entirely sure how many stencils a Messenger would have anyway. The sheet includes decals for the seatbelts and for a set of instruments. All are reasonably well printed, although the colour registration is really not quite right. This is the danger of 4-colour print at this scale. You'll never get the sharpness and density you can get with spot colour. I'm starting with the cockpit. These front seats sit on the floor here, allowing enough room for the control columns to go in. It's not immediately clear how the rear seats sit, so I'll add them later on. The 2 control columns go in next, and they're simple enough. And then when it's dry, I'll paint the cockpit area with interior green. I use IDF green for this, as it seems about the right tone. I'll also paint the inside walls of the fuselage too. The seats get a leather colour first, then when that's dry, some wash to bring out the pleating. I'm also going to put some instruments onto the front panel. Now, I've already painted both panels in a kind of woody colour. If you really want to, I suppose you can have a go at making them wood grained. There are also decals to do for the seat harnesses. Full harnesses in the front and lap straps in the back. Then the front and back panels can go into one side of the fuselage, followed by the cockpit floor as well. Now once that's set in place, I can put the rear seats in so they sit in the right place. And then the two halves of the fuselage can go together. While that's setting, being taped up, I'll make the wings. Now these have these huge ejector pins inside them, but just cut them out with nippers and sand flat. Then the two halves of each wing go together. These are really chunky mouldings, it must be said. While the wings are drying, I'll start the tail assembly. There are fins, or vertical stabilisers if you will, at the end of the tailplane, or horizontal stabiliser. The location is vaguely indicated. How nice it would have been to have a small tab for alignment. There's also another fin in the middle, again, no tab to give you a clue. With the fuselage all set and a little bit of filler added, I'm going to put on the front engine cover. Then the tail assembly can slot into place. The wings have these small locators raised on the side of the fuselage. They kind of give you the position where the wing belongs, but not the angle they should sit at. When both wings are on and partly set, I've put the fuselage on a flat surface and supported the wings to the right dihedral. I found two flat lolly sticks under each wingtip seemed to do it. And while the wings are setting in place, I can take the time to paint the wheels, aluminium hubs and rubber tyre black. Once the wings are actually dry, I've done some little bits of filling and I can now add the canopy. I've made a mask for this for tape, but you can buy a proper masking set from Pewit. Leave it all overnight to set fully. Next day, and I'm spraying the underside with white. There's two reasons for this. One is that it makes the yellow that is going to be stand out better, but two, I'm doing invasion stripes on the underside. Don't forget the large flaps as well. I'm painting them off the kit, but check all the stripe alignments as you go. When it's dry, a bit of masking and then on goes the yellow for the underside. I found that it certainly needs two coats. You can do the undercarriage legs while you're at it. And when your yellow's all properly dry, I can mask again, but this time just for the black of the invasion stripes. You might as well spray the propeller black too whilst you're at it. So far I think it looks pretty good, so quick coat of varnish to seal the bottom and then mask it off for the upper surface paint. I lay down a coat of dark earth first, let that dry and then add some homemade masks for the camouflage. When they're all done, I can add the dark green paint on top. Hey presto, a camouflaged messenger. There are a few bits still left on the sprue. The propeller gets white on the tips and the boss as they'll be painted yellow and red respectively. I'll also paint the damper legs in steel. Then the wheels can go onto the undercarriage legs. Now with the paint job dried and another coat of varnish, I'll start adding the decals. Now I've replaced the kit decals with some spares from my stash as I'm really not happy with the colour or the fragility of the ones supplied. The tail flashes are cut square in the kit decals. They're not shaped for the fins, so just fit it as best you can. I ended up painting a lot of the red in here, even my replacements broke. When the decals are dry, I'll fit the undercarriage legs. Now these are really not very secure, so try to get them roughly right and then adjust them as it starts to dry. The tail wheel is much more secure. Then I can add the flaps, as I say, pre-painted off the sprue, as you can see. There are rear supports for the gear legs and the exhaust that goes under the engine, and then this actuator for the flaps that can be added. Finally, the propeller goes on, the masks come off, and Monty's Messenger is done. It's a cute looking thing, quirky with its big flaps and triple fins. It's a piece of history because of who flew in it, and it's an unusual addition to maybe a collection of planes sporting D-Day stripes. But the kit is using 60s design philosophies with 80s production quality, trying to make it in the 21st century marketplace. I had fun building it, but if KP really wants to break into the big time market, they need to get better process design, better decal supplier, so they can deliver what the excellent box art seems to promise. There we go then, the Miles Messenger. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you have, please do remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. The link to do that is down there in the bottom right hand corner. It doesn't cost you anything, helps me enormously. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.